everyone. Here I am today again for another Freedom to Feel conversation, and this time with Mitch Hankins. So, he has a very interesting topic to discuss today, which has everything to do with freedom of mind, body, and we'll touch into the spirit components as well. I'll ask him some questions. So, Mitch Hankins is a cloud certified full stack developer who speaks to professionals struggling to find meaning in life. He's also a blogger, a writer. So, this is my brief introduction about you, but I would love to hear in your own words. As you know, I always ask that question. Who is Mitch in his own words?
Who is Mitch? Well, I am a 30-year-old software developer who has turned really, I would say, spiritual. For a long time, I was really kind of chasing after money, I would say, not in a
Yeah,
super materialistic way, but somewhat, because I had this dream of, oh, if I have financial freedom, then nobody can control me. I can rely on
right,
myself. Nobody can tell me what to do. And obviously,
right.
that can be traced back to certain experiences in life, right?
Yes, true.
And the more I achieve those goals, and the more I yes set those goals and achieve them, the more I realized like this emptiness inside of me only grew.
Yeah,
And that's really when I sat down and started discovering spirituality, and started asking myself, what is missing? How can I make my life, how can I fulfill my purpose on earth? How can I express the gift that was given to me at birth?
right,
And that's kind of when I came up on the road of, well, there's a lot of people like me, a lot of people that are professionally successful, but that are feeling disconnected, isolated,
right,
lonely. And
right,
especially, in regards to men and mental health, it's so hard to talk about.
right,
And that's when I discovered I want to do something with that. I want to be the person who says, hey, it's okay to talk about these things. I've been through certain things. We can talk about them. We can find meaning in them. We can move forward with them. And that's when I
right.
started blogging and my journey of public speaking and coaching. And that's really
Yeah,
when I started discovering a difference in, when I woke up, I was like, oh, it wasn't this dread of I have to go work. It was more
right.
so like, I'm going to go help people today.
Oh, wow, I love that. I'm
Thank you.
going to help people today. And that's another beautiful topic about the meaning of life or the purpose of life. I often ask that question, what is it? And I often get the same answer, is to help others.
Yes.
But of course, it comes from helping ourselves first, right, Mitch? We can't really give if we don't have. So
Yes.
we need to learn first. And with that in mind, before I ask you the question about freedom and feelings, what drove you to do the work that you did within yourself, to find out more within you in your inner world? What was the main motivation to do that besides depression, anxiety? We
Right.
know that some suffering is a catalyst, but is there anything else there that we don't know?
I love that question. I would say a lot of it is definitely traced back to the way I was raised. I have a very compassionate, kind, loving mother, and
Yeah,
a very disciplined and moral father. And so in childhood, I was always taught to believe that diversity and bringing people together is what
yeah,
gives up our strength. And so I always had this idea in the back of my head where, yes, I had that pain and that anxiety and depression that caused me to think there's something that I need to do. But also, I knew that the way I had to direct it was to some sort of greater good, because
yeah.
I've always been raised to believe that our lives are only meaningful if we have a positive impact on others.
So true. And how did you become? I know the main topic is about overcoming childhood trauma. Um, Without disclosing a lot of the details, a lot of times we don't. It's not. This is not a therapy session, although I sometimes we make it, we make it to be. So, yeah, talk to me for a moment about that. What childhood traumas did you overcome?
For me, I would really say the initial trauma, that the way it started is, growing up in Europe, I was not someone that fit in a box. I was a very curious kid, asked a lot of questions, and I wasn't really accepted. So I was very much an outcast. I didn't really
Yeah,
feel at home. That's a large part of the reason I moved to the US, because I've always felt such freedom here.
Yeah.
And I think I had this belief instilled in me because of the adults in my life that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't worthy. And so I lived my whole life in like this kind of haze where I didn't know I didn't know how to love myself. And that caused me to really miss out on a lot of beautiful experiences in life because I didn't think I deserved them.
Right.
Um, and during my teenage years, I suffered probably because a lot of those beliefs in myself. I was sexually abused, and as well as emotionally and physically.
Ah, yeah.
Um, and that was really during my formative years. And really, since that initial sexual abuse happened, I really fell
Yeah.
into this pattern, I guess, where I kind of let that, or not let that happen, but that's just kind of what you're accustomed to. So the relationships I entered, the friendships I had,
Right.
I wasn't really looking out for, my own best future.
Yeah.
And I really lost touch. I lost my innocence. I lost a proper
Right.
way to explore sexuality, I didn't learn how to properly love someone and how to be in a relationship and love myself and love others and feel safe. The world
Right.
has always felt like a very dangerous place to me. So, that kind of led from one pattern of abuse to the next, where I just moved from one abuser as I aged to the next. And it was really hard to break that. And I think it's all rooted in those initial experiences. It kind of all just
Yeah.
kind of built on each other.
Yeah. It's so true. As I listen to you, I'm sorry you went through all that. In a way, I say I'm sorry to my younger self too, because that has been my experience as well. Um,
I'm
and
sorry.
it's
Yeah.
really sad to hear, isn't it? What do you think is the main cause of this legacy of abuse to be passed on? It's almost like it's almost like we have learned as human beings to live in a certain way. Almost we are used to abuse, suffering, pain, and then we pass that on to others. Have you reflected on the root cause for this kind of the root of abuse? What would that be? Have you found anything, discovered anything, going deeper into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure, as you can relate to, this is something I think about all day long. I think about,
Yeah,
when I have certain thoughts, when I have certain feelings, it's always like, what is this rooted in? And
yeah,
it's always something I can trace back into something that happened, almost 2 decades ago.
right,
And it's it definitely is affecting everything. And I think, in regards to the root cause as to
yeah,
why people put abuse and keep perpetuating it,
yeah,
that comes back to, like, generational trauma, I think, as
right,
well, where we are conditioned to certain environments, and that becomes our normal. And we somehow, because of our pain, we feel it's okay to put that pain forward, to push that pain forward on others. And
right.
I think really abuse is rooted in a lack of compassion for
Mm,
yourself and
mm,
for others, where, whenever something happens, you can make a decision to help that help to use that to create a better life, or you can kind of ignore it, and then it's going to manifest in all sorts of different ways. Like, if you are a person that has had, sexual abuse during their formative younger years, and then you're a parent, for example, and you don't do any of that inner work, then you're going to lash out at your kid. You're going to be maybe
yeah,
overprotective, or the opposite, or you're going to, perpetuate that trauma because you're not doing that work. You're not reflecting on yourself. You're not taking care of yourself, and then you can't take care of whoever comes after you. And so I
right,
think that the root of abuse is always rooted in pain and an inability to do the reflective work
mm,
to stop that
yeah.
abuse and turn it into something good instead.
Yes. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. Resonates true. Yeah, thank you for saying that. So it's that lack of self-awareness, of self-knowledge. Nah, yeah, it requires a lot of work, and that's why in commitment, and that's why a lot of us don't engage in it. But it's crucial, isn't it, Mitch, that we do the work.
It really is, because it affects so many people. it's an exponential thing. The way you treat one person, that's going to affect how they treat everyone, and that's
Right.
everyone they touch. It's like a ripple effect across so many people. And in regards to, there's some generational trauma in my family as well, both on my mother's side and on my father's side. And we've had these conversations where they say, in the moment we always tried our best, and like in
Yeah.
hindsight, yes, we could have done this or this better. But at some point I said, like, I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to stop this. It's going to,
Yeah.
this is going to end right here with me today, right now. And it stops. It ends right now.
Yes. So it is the making that choice. It's a decision that we make to build this life that's a lot more creative. It is happy, although I don't really rely a lot of on happiness. I love the idea of coming from a place of inner peace because it's I just let kind of joy express itself in a sense of connecting with people like yourself and doing what I do. So it creates a lot of joy around it. It's a meaningful way of living, as you say. I love the word you use, building a meaningful life. So how do you help others to build this creative, meaningful, beautiful life?
Well, what I really do is I help people challenge the status quo, challenge what society tells us how to behave, in regards to
Yes.
masculinity or femininity. You have to be like this, you have to act like this, you have to talk like this.
Right.
And I help them discover what is truly on your inside, and
Yes.
really, how do you want to show up in the world? Like, what sort of things do you want to do? What kind of people do you want to have around you? And it's really that introspective work of getting to know yourself. But first, as you've said, getting to that place of peace,
Yeah.
because if you're not in that place of peace and you're constantly getting overwhelmed with, all of these things in our modern society, like advertisements and social media and constant notification bombardments on
Right.
your phone and meetings and text messages and phone calls,
Yeah.
and, then you're never going to get anywhere. So I
Right.
really help people find peace with themselves, and then discover what they want to get out of life in order to feel like they're they're awake and not just sleep dreaming
Mm.
until they're on their deathbed and filled with regret.
Right. We don't want that to happen. That's for sure. Well, regrets. Um, do you bring some of the spiritual understandings to you have to the teachings, to the sessions with your clients, or this is something that you don't often? It depends on the client. How does it work? The spiritual piece.
I think spirituality is huge. And, that doesn't always have to be religion. The way I look at religion is kind
Right.
of like spirituality is a painting. And if you put 10 people in front of the painting and you ask everyone to write an essay about what the painting looks like, those are the religions. They're all different
Mm.
interpretations of that divine connection, that intricate connection between everything and everyone.
Right.
But there's, I think, a lot of different ways that would resonate with some people. Like, for example, religion might resonate with other people. What really resonates with me and the people I work with is things like journaling and meditation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, meditation really, really helps. First of all, it creates a control over your prefrontal cortex, where, that's
Yeah.
really where the analytical mind is, that newer modern human brain,
Right.
where we're constantly doubting ourselves, judging ourselves, blaming
Mm.
ourselves.
Mm.
And it helps us create those neural pathways to kind of quiet that and to live in peace and free from anxiety and disturbances. And journaling, in a very similar way, can be um, very spiritual, because spirituality to me means getting connected to a higher source of power,
Mm.
and we are all part of that power. So learning about
Right.
yourself through journaling is spiritual. So asking yourself,
Yeah.
one of my journal prompts every day is fear. What do I fear? It can be
Right.
like, I fear to get intimate with someone because I'm afraid they'll hurt me,
Mm.
or I'm afraid to lose my job because if I do, everyone, it can be something different. So really reflecting on yourself in a journal and finding equanimity, peace during periods of meditation, is for me a really good way to get spiritually connected and grounded.
Yes, that's exactly what I understand to be spiritual. It's knowing who you are, your inner world. That's what it is. It's very simple. It sounds very simple, but it's not. It's not that simple because then it takes commitment, right, Mitch? It takes taking the time, finding people like yourself to be guided
Yeah.
by. That's a big one too. A lot of people they just feel like it's almost like they don't have the trust. They have lost trust. I noticed that a lot with human beings.
Yes.
We have lost
Yeah,
that right, that trusting connection with one another. But it's wonderful.
absolutely.
That's why I love this platform, like these video interviews, the interviews I do, because that kind of shows people that it's okay to trust. Look at this person, how amazing he or she is. Why wouldn't you trust him or her? So thank you
Yes.
so much for doing what you do, because that's exactly what it we need more in the world, like trust, so we can open up and explore our inner world.
Thank you. I can agree more. It's like I think the more technologically advanced we become, the more we divert from our true roots of,
Yeah.
when we lived in tribes and trusting each other, relying on each other and
Yes.
contributing and love. And we're becoming so disconnected from all of that. And that makes people so full of resentment and emotional
Yeah.
poison. And that's where
Yes.
trauma and abuse comes in, because we're
Yes.
so full of pain that we do not have the compassion or the awareness to stop it.
Right. That's it. Yes. So thank you so much for that beautiful intention that you have and doing all the work that you're doing.
You too.
So, oh my God, that's like, to me, I mean, it's everything. I don't know how this got started when I was very little, but it drives me just to be around people like yourself that are finding meaning for your own life, finding who you are, and then passing that message on. It's just the most beautiful thing.
Thank you.
So I'll ask you that question now. I have more questions for you about the blogs
Okay.
that you write. A lot of them caught my attention. But the main question for this platform is
Mhm.
freedom. What does freedom
Mhm.
look like from the perspective of feelings and emotions? What would you say?
Oh, I love that question. So freedom, I always love to go to the etymology, to the root of words. And freedom for me means freedom from dominion. And
Mm,
it's not so much dominion of somebody else, but more from yourself.
right.
Freedom from
Mm,
anxiety, freedom from disturbances.
right.
We have a lot of times when you ask someone, who are you? They say, like I did, well, I'm a 30-year-old programmer and a blogger and a speaker and a coach. But that's not who I am. Who I
Mm-hmm.
am is a consciousness, an awareness, observing the present moment, having this conversation with you. And through domestication, through training, I have learned to speak English. I have learned to form thought into words. But that is the mind. That isn't the being.
Mm,
That is simply the
mm,
being expressing itself through the mind.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
freedom is unlearning everything that we have been told,
Yes.
everything that we have been taught. And it is freedom means being having the awareness to distinguish between thoughts that help you and thoughts and habits that don't help you,
Mm,
and being able to live a life where the majority of it, regardless of the suffering, because there will always be suffering, where you know who you are as a person and where you can show up as your authentic self.
right. Ah. That's oh, I love everything you said, especially about consciousness, who we are, what we are really. Yeah, this the awareness that's seeing everything, that's just watching everything, but it's not really attached to anything. The piece about suffering, I have heard that suffering is optional and pain is natural. Is that something that do you agree with this statement or
I would say yes and no. I'm a firm believer that, the universe creates order through destruction. There was a big
yeah,
bang and that resulted in order. The universe is chaos. The universe is destruction. So, do I believe suffering is optional? Well, I think that's really what it gets at. I think it gets at is bad things are always going to happen. You can't stop that. A parent is
right,
going to die.
exactly,
Friends are going to die. Things are going to happen. You're going to get sick. You're going to get ill. You're going to hurt. Things will always happen. I
right.
think what suffering is optional gets at is it isn't the event itself that is good or bad. Truth simply
Mm,
is. It simply happens.
yeah.
It's your perception of something that gives it meaning. And so if you see something as bad, it will manifest as bad in your body. It will release stress hormones. Your thoughts affect how your genes express themselves, and the way your genes express themselves affect how your cells build your body. So suffering is optional in the sense of how you think about things, give them a specific meaning. Um, but that doesn't mean that there's good to be found in everything. You know, if bad things
Mm,
happen,
yeah.
that doesn't mean you say like, oh, super great. Great that I lost my friend to some sort of
Gosh.
disease. But,
Yeah.
um, so I don't think suffering is optional. I think, I think what's optional is holding on to that suffering. It can either be
Mm,
something that happens in the past
mm,
and you hold on to,
yeah.
or it's in the present and you release it, you process it.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense to me. So holding on to suffering, to that initial impact of that we call trauma and the pain, that is not, yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem to be okay because that's what causes all the other chain reaction of depression, anxiety, suicide, and all kinds of horrible things if we can think that way. And I love the way you said about it's not everything that happens not good or bad. It's just the way we relate to them, the way we interpret them,
Yeah.
and especially how long we hold on to those ideas too once we're impacted by them.
Yeah.
Ah, I love your wisdom, Mitch.
Thank
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 you. I was tempted to ask, like, is this something that you find, these insights, do you find through meditation and journaling? Or are there other source for this timeless wisdom that you have learned, acquired?
I would say so, yes. A lot of it also stems, of course, from childhood. Like, I had a very engaging philosophical mom when I was young.
Yeah,
And then also I'm an avid reader. I go through
yeah.
dozens and dozens of books a year.
Yeah,
So
that helps.
um, that's definitely a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely say meditation, because
Mm.
when I meditate, I am no longer someone. I'm no longer a
Uh,
man with a sexuality. I am simply a presence, an energy.
yeah.
And I feel as though I am everyone and nothing at once. And so then
Mm.
these realizations just come in almost from the subconscious, where you can't necessarily put it into words, but you just know it's truth. You know it intuitively.
Right.
And I feel, because of that process, I really feel like I mean, granted, I've lived in 2 countries, 7 states, many different cities. I've had many different roles in the military as, an overly masculine guy, as different roles and masks that I took on. So I have a lot of life experience, but I really
Yeah.
feel like I've lived many lifetimes. And that's because
Mm.
of things like meditation, where I feel like everything that's happening to me, I've already been through before. It's just
Mm.
slightly different context, but the
Mm.
meaning, the subtext is always the same.
Huh. That's fascinating to hear. That's what the concept of reincarnation is in
Yeah.
all those past lives. So I wonder if that ends at some point. Have you reflected upon that? If there was an end to this pattern that we feel like we've been here before, we have done this already.
I think so. Like, to me, I really think of the second law of thermodynamics, where energy can neither be created nor destroyed. And our bodies, or let's say this way, our consciousness doesn't exist because we have bodies. Our
Mm,
bodies exist because we have a consciousness. They are a manifestation of our consciousness.
right.
And consciousness, the human spirit, the soul, the Holy Spirit, whatever you would like to refer it to, it's just energy, and
Yeah.
energy can only be transformed. So when you die,
Yeah.
your physical body dies, but I do believe that that energy goes back to, that greater power, and that gets, everything in you. Nature wastes nothing. Everything
Right.
gets reused.
Right.
So in regards to reincarnation, I truly believe on an intuitive level that we are sent into these bodies to live to have with a certain gift, and to express them, and to learn. And every time we come back, we learn to do things a little bit differently. And maybe we can live on a little bit higher plane of existence with more awareness. And I do think that every time you do come back, where you are reincarnated, I don't want to say you level up, because that sounds a little bit guru, but
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you become more, and I think you become closer to the truth, closer to the source of truth. And that is what, for me, reincarnation is, just where this human consciousness gets recycled over and over and over again. And
Mm,
what's beyond this plane of existence, I don't think that's something we can comprehend.
right.
But that might just be like how a dog can't
Mm,
comprehend our level of intelligence. And I truly do believe that there's an infinite amount of ways to exist beyond this.
mm. Yes, that's what comes to me too. Like the insights I have, that this never ends, and although I do wish sometimes for this to end, in the sense of the and in the suffering of coming back and going through everything again. But there's yeah, there's the mystery piece as well. We don't know it all. We cannot comprehend with this human brain we have.
When it's all very complex, even from
Yeah.
like, I don't mean to get too technical, but even from a quantum physics perspective, there's the Newtonian physics, where if an apple falls from the tree, we can calculate how long it'll take to hit the Earth, or the way that planets move around the solar system. These are all Newtonian physics. But beyond that, there is quantum physics and how particles behave on a subatomic level. And in that realm, the Newtonian realm is defined by um, limited time and unlimited space. Our space is infinitely big, but on the quantum level, it's the other way around. Time
Mm,
is infinite. There is no such thing as past or future. There's only the eternal present. And
right.
so for us, for wanting things to end, there is no such thing really. When you get deep down into the
Mm,
level, we are
mm,
experiencing everything at once, but our
mm,
consciousness can only experience things linearly. And so that's how we're
yeah.
perceiving reality. But that's not how it
Mm,
is. That's just how we're
mm.
seeing it.
Right. I love that you said that. Yes, that resonates true, and that's one of my favorite spiritual teachings is Advaita Vedanta. I'm not sure if you heard about that. A lot of people haven't for some reason, but that's exactly how it is explained. That resonates very much true with me. This here, whatever we call life, is that there's no. This is just a dreamlike reality. We're just
Yes.
there's no past or future. There's no ending, no beginning. That there's just this, which we call life, but we don't really. Nobody really knows.
We're just in a
Although,
dream.
yeah, but it's fun to try. Kind of, I love the idea that we are able to explore. We are limited, I know,
Yes,
but isn't it fun to explore this, like what this is,
absolutely.
and try to find this good place to be. There's no place, but we're trying to find the meaning, happiness within this human experience. It's
Yes,
fascinating to me that we wake
it
up
is.
for that, right?
And exciting. It's
Yes.
it's some of it can sound a little like mystic, or maybe even off-putting to
Yeah.
some people, especially like I've always been very logical, very left-brained. For a large part of my life, I tried to eliminate emotion. I tried to eliminate
Yeah.
intuition because that never kept me safe. So logic was the only thing that did, and that's what I
Right.
embraced.
Right.
But once you lean into it, there is so much that we don't understand. There is
Yeah.
so much opportunity for exploration, and that is so incredibly exciting to me.
Yes, the same here.
Yeah.
And I love that you're very young and you already, I mean, not to say that only, we only learn these things when we are older. It's just very exciting to see young people waking up for this, kind of being open to this exploration of who we
Yeah.
are, of what this is. So it's beautiful to see you doing this work. Thank you
Thank you.
again, yeah, for being open to life. We need to see more young people having these conversations.
Yeah.
Let's see, and then let me go back to the blog. Yeah, there's something you offer on your website. You offer a free guide that's titled Six Habits for Conquering Anxiety and Depression. I would love to hear a bit about this, if you could disclose some of these habits.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, people can, it's just a free little ebook that I made that people
Yeah.
can get by going to my website, thedebuglife.com, and you'll be able to download it there. And it really, what it does is I've looked at, well, what are some of the habits that have made the largest impact on me to find that peace and to be grounded in the present. Because, as we talked about, when you're at that state of peace, that's really when you can create as an artist.
Right.
And it's something you do every day. It's not like you take a pill and you wake up and you're done. And
Right.
because of that, it has to be habits. It has to be something you do every day. So two of them already talked about, where it's journaling and meditating. And in that guide, I talk about kind of like, which apps to use and how to do it. It gets a little bit more in detail, but it's, for me, I wake up and those are the first things I do. In my journal, I write about my thoughts. I write about my fears. I write about, things that may have triggered me and reflect upon those and how I felt. And during my meditation, right now I'm doing the meditation where I try and connect the energy centers, and then I get, this incredible burst of energy that I can carry with me for the rest of the day. And that's really something that grounds me in the present. That's what all these habits revolve around. It's finding yourself, finding peace, and then being able to create that art so that you aren't disturbed by anxiety and depression, because you have something to hold on to that gives meaning in life.
Right. I love that as the foundation, finding peace, just
Mhm.
which is so clear when we start doing the inner work and meditating, especially.
Mhm.
Although sometimes it's not, the path is not linear, as you said. So sometimes we find that true reality, per se, the peace that we are in different ways. But
Mhm.
it's amazing when we tap into that reality, how everything else becomes so much more lighter, becomes lighter in a sense
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
playful. We
Yes.
don't take, right, anything, I mean,
And there's joy.
seriously. Yes, right, right. It's just incredible. There's magic. It's almost like has become this magical adventure, which it is. That's if I can use that word. It's a mystical word, but it's amazing, though. It amazes me that we can have this conversation. Even it's how is that even possible? It's almost like the machine being aware of itself, or the
Absolutely.
computer, right? Being
Absolutely.
ah. So another, there's so many other blog posts that you have on your website that caught my attention. Mentioning again your website is thedebuglife.com, and I'll have that on below the video interview. So another one this one caught my attention. So many of them, but how to practice positive self-talk. That has to do with self-love. To me, is one of the practices. So how do we do that?
The way we do that, I believe, is practice every single day. Again, we're, advertising all these different things. We're marketed and led to believe that everything is a simple fix. Everything is just a pill away, or,
Yeah.
one payment away. And that's not how it is. It's practice every single day. And so it's comes really from a foundation of peace again, where you
Yeah.
understand that just being a human makes you good enough. Like, you don't have to prove
Mm,
yourself. You don't
mm,
have to look a certain way. You don't have to act a certain way or
mm.
talk a certain way.
Right.
Just being a human is good enough.
Yeah.
And from
Yeah.
that point, you can branch out. And when it comes to self talk, when you talk to yourself, pay attention. And that comes back to awareness. Pay attention to what you're saying and ask yourself if those thoughts are useful and if they're helping you. If you look in the mirror and you hear a thought going in your head like, oh, you look unattractive today, ask yourself, is that thought useful? Is it my belief, or have I been conditioned to think that way by
Right.
society?
Right.
Like, because everybody has thoughts like that. Everybody has bad days. Everybody has negative self-talk. So learning to distinguish between thoughts that are actually contributing to your happiness and not,
Yeah.
is a huge one. And if they're not, then something you can do is assign like something that makes them funny. So for example, if I hear a negative thought, I pretend that it's Homer Simpson saying it because he sounds
Yeah.
ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
If I go in
Yeah.
my head and then I repeat that thought, like picturing him
Yeah.
saying it and hearing it in
Yeah.
his voice, I
Yeah.
just start kind of cracking up. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Then you realize this isn't me saying that, it's programming saying that.
Right. Right.
And also through practices of like journaling and meditation, all of this kind of comes together where you learn just to love it, loving to exist, and not having
Mm,
to move to a
mm,
different place, not having to move to a
mm.
different mental state, just loving who you are in the present moment and loving to
Yeah.
exist, and holding on to the positive thought and reinforcing those, and
Mm.
just disregarding the bad, and that doesn't just happen overnight. I mean, I've been doing that for years and it's still a
Yeah.
daily practice. but it really gives a lot of freedom.
Mm. So it goes back to that unlearning piece that you mentioned before. So it's the practice of unlearning, deep programming, deep bug, as you said. I love that the name of your website because it makes sense. We want to kind of understand, and not really in the sense of eliminating, pushing away, trying to escape any of it, but
Yes.
it's the understanding, isn't it, Mitch? Just going deeper into reflection, contemplation of what is here, what comes up, why is this
Yes.
showing up? I love questions. Maybe that's why I do
All
this.
about curiosity. Like,
Yes,
and
right,
it's so important not to push things, because let's think
right.
about an addiction, right? Because that's what it is. Negative thoughts are your body is your body being addicted to negative emotions and thus generating certain thoughts to regain that state. That's what your body's always trying to do, like
Mm,
maintain some kind of balance, homeostasis.
right,
And
right.
you compare it to an addiction, and let's say you have a caffeine addiction or a nicotine addiction. If you push that craving away, it's going to come back 10 times harder. If you push
Right.
away hunger, it's going to come back 10 times
Yeah.
harder. Pushing things away doesn't work. It only makes them come back with a vengeance. It's acknowledging
Yes.
them and getting curious. It's understanding. I really
Mm,
learned this in therapy. If you're feeling pain, like let's say you stubbed your toe, you feel pain because your body is telling you, hey, this toe hurts, don't use it for a while.
mm,
Mental pain is the exact same way. It's your brain, your mind telling you something is wrong. Get curious. Ask yourself why. Don't push it away, but get curious. Ask questions.
right. That's it. Yeah. Curiosity, being open to what is here, all the feelings and emotions. Although, do you distinguish feelings from emotions, Mitch, or are they the same from your perspective?
I would say feelings for me are a little bit more long term, whereas emotion is um, more of an isolated thing. So like a lot of emotions together can probably make a feeling. Like, for example, how you feel about a loved one, for example, like, it can be a mix of emotions of excitement and
Yeah.
true love and, sexual and romantic attraction. And all of that generates like a certain feeling for a person. So I think that's kind of, I don't know if you would agree, but I think that's kind of how I would distinguish between the two.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, I think they're very similar in a way. I have heard so many different
Mhm.
perspectives on that. But would you say that both of them come from belief systems, from what we believe in, or feelings they just arise? We have no control over them.
I would say both of them are rooted in experience and beliefs,
Yeah,
because the way that emotions are come up, their service, they're just chemical reactions in the body, right? Like
yeah,
love,
yeah,
oxytocin, anger is related to certain hormones. Like
yeah.
they're all chemical releases in the body. And when we go through experiences in life, the way that the brain records these experiences is by literally kind of like building train tracks or building a road. These neural pathways are
Yeah.
constructed, and what emotions do, these chemicals, is they solidify those pathways,
Mm,
they make them stronger.
right,
And that way we learn, like, oh, that experience hurt me, I'm going to stay away, or that experience was pleasurable, I'm going to
right,
go do that again.
right.
So I think that the way these emotions come about is, what kind of experiences have you been through in life,
Yeah.
and how are they being resurfaced through the experiences in the present, as
Mm,
well as being filtered through beliefs. If you have this belief about
yeah.
yourself of, I am not worthy, or I am unlovable, or I am bad at this, or I'm bad at that, or I'm a bad parent, or I'm a bad partner, that's come together with your experiences in life. I think that's going to determine what kind of emotions come up in you. I don't think feelings are random. I very strongly
Mm.
they're rooted in experience and beliefs.
Yeah, I love that you added the experience piece because yeah, that's the embodiment of
Mhm.
of emotions. Of course, experience will do that. Of course, and I don't know if you heard, you probably did about trapped emotions. But that's
Mhm.
we have lots of that. So the
Yes.
body kind of holds on to all those chemicals, right? As you explained.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's all
Ah,
stored in the body, and it even for me, I know that my trauma is stored in my body. Like, I
yeah.
have a lot of back issues, and I get incredibly tight back. I get incredibly tight neck, and that gives me headache.
Yeah.
All of our
Yeah.
experiences are stored in our, like, emotions. Again, going to the root of the word, in Greek, it means energy and motion.
Yes.
Emotions are nothing more than energy, and just along with memories, they get stored in your body.
Yeah. Ah. Have you found a way to release them? What's the best way to release those emotions trapped in the body?
Or you're gonna laugh, but I would say this would be awareness and curiosity.
Uh,
It's not trying to disown a part. A lot of us are so busy
yeah.
disowning ourselves through because of shame and guilt, where it's like, oh, I did
Right.
this as a kid, and we relive that moment over and over and over again.
Right.
And really getting curious about the things you feel is going to, I would say, let you tap into that energy
Mm,
and then use it towards
mm,
something. So instead of
mm,
me saying like, oh, I'm feeling really sad today, and
mm,
that might be rooted in my experiences in life. Um, Instead of just kind of disregarding that, now I can get curious about it. And then I can say, well,
mm,
you know what, I'm feeling bad, but I can use that energy to show up for a friend or to make someone else's life more meaningful. And you can
mm.
use that energy to do something good, and that will make you feel good.
Right. You know, what I have been, I'm listening to you, and the more I listen to you deeper, I see that your message is all about finding the answers within. We have all the answers.
Yeah.
Basically, you're just saying that over and over and over again.
Yes.
What a, I mean, empowering message, because it is so true. All the answers are here. It's not out there. We have guides like yourself, people who can read books. We can watch this video, but it's just a point to just guiding us to
Mhm.
ourselves. It
Yeah.
just, that's just beautiful. I love that, Mitch. Yeah, you see,
Thank you.
that's yeah, to me that's timeless wisdom. And that's what life is all about, knowing who we are, going deeper, not disowning anything, not shaming ourselves, and most of all, doing exactly that, knowing that we are perfectly imperfect. I know
Yes.
that has been said before, but
That's,
that's it. This is,
yeah.
I mean, we are life itself, just expressing what it is in the
Absolutely.
body, and it's just so beautiful. However, it manifests. It doesn't matter how.
Yeah. And
Wow,
that,
I love
and you
that.
need that self-love. It's like, if I've heard this example before from a book I've read, if you have an empty kitchen and you're hungry and somebody knocks on your door and they say, hey, I have this unhealthy fast food, it will make you feel terrible, but I know you're hungry, so here's something for you to eat. You're going to take it because you don't have anything. You haven't done that work on yourself. But
Yeah.
if somebody comes to your door and you have a fully
Mm,
stocked kitchen of healthy food, and somebody comes to your door and they say, hey, I have this unhealthy food, you can say, I don't want you. I don't want to be in an abusive relationship with you. I have love
right.
for myself. And
Right.
so,
Right.
that is such a big part in finding your own truth. It's really not looking for validation from society or
Mm,
parents or loved ones.
mm, mm,
It's being compassionate towards them, sure, but it's
yeah.
putting yourself first.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's one of the most powerful messages I can come across from all the work that I have done, all these amazing people that I have met from, I mean, all backgrounds, mostly spirituality, psychology, I mean, scientists of the mind, scientists of this life itself. It all comes back to that.
Yeah,
That's amazing, to just valuing and knowing yourself. And then by knowing yourself, that's what happens. You just fall in love with yourself, but
yes,
not in a selfish way. It's in it's very it's very light, because then we learn to understand that we are not the beginning of the in the end of anything. This is just, everything is connected. I'm connected with you and everything around me. And how amazing this is.
yeah,
It almost becomes this ongoing gift that keeps on giving. It's incredible. That's what I call love. That's what love is, really, that
I
deep
agree.
understanding, right, who we are. Would you like to make a
Agreed.
comment about that, about love? Because we have so many different ideas of what love is. What is your idea of love?
I'm reminded of a Corinthians from the Bible verse where I don't know exactly how it goes, but love isn't obsessive, love isn't compulsive, love isn't dominating, love isn't desire, isn't lust. Love is connection,
Mm,
to
yeah.
yourself And because of that, to everybody on this planet, it doesn't matter who I meet. I love everyone I meet because they're just an
Right.
extension of me and I'm an extension of them.
Right.
Love is love is the higher power that we all come from.
Yes. Yeah. That's, yeah, because we get to understand that everything is connected. There's no separation anyway.
Yes.
Although it's really, my question a lot of the time is, why do we feel disconnected? Why does it exist, even the feeling of disconnection, when we are not disconnected from anyone or anything? But that's the play of life, isn't it? It's almost like the illusion. It's playful in a way.
Well, that's been taught to us. When we're born, like look at a kid, like look at,
Yeah.
in their eyes, how much full of love they are, how free of
Yeah.
judgment, how
Yeah.
full of excitement and wonder and
Yes.
joy and curiosity.
Yeah.
And then they get told they're a bad girl or a bad boy or a good
Mm,
girl and it's
yeah.
all programmed into us by well-meaning parents, by all
Right.
adults, by society, everything we see on TV. Everything serves to create separation between us rather than unity. And that results in
Right.
war, it results in narcissism, it results in pain,
Mm,
trauma, and
mm,
it's all an illusion.
right. Is that getting better, Mitch, from your perspective? Do you see this reality becoming a healthy one, a more peaceful one for people around you?
I do, but I do think we're at an inflection point. We're killing each other, we're killing the
Yeah.
planet. We're so obsessed with maintaining the status quo and impressing other people that we forget to live an authentic life. And because of
Yes.
that, we push that pain, towards everything again, like how we treat the
Yeah.
planet and how we treat other people. So I think we're at this inflection point where people are starting to wake up. People are starting to realize, like, hey, this planet may not be around like a few decades from now, or working my life away for someone else and barely getting anything in return and being able to be let go any moment, isn't really okay. And it's just a lot of things. It's just modern slavery.
Yeah.
And in so many different areas of life, like we're enslaved by advertising, we're enslaved by big
Yeah.
tech like Facebook and Instagram and big companies that
Yeah.
control our very brains through the release of dopamine and all these different things.
Mm,
So I think more and more people are starting to wake up, especially I do a lot of gatherings with people where we have conversations
yeah.
like these and we talk openly. And I feel like everybody, we know in our heart that something is
Yeah.
wrong. We all know it.
Right.
We don't
Right.
talk about it because we think we'll be seen as crazy. But then when
Yeah.
someone does start talking about it in small group settings and we do start talking about it, everybody knows that something is wrong and everybody is ready to make a change. It just takes a certain critical mass of enough people coming together and saying, this ends, we're going to live a different life. And I absolutely do see that as a possibility.
Yeah, me too. And I thank you again for your contribution to that, to this awakening reality of peace, really. That's what we all want,
Mhm.
ultimately. But for some reason, as we know, some of the reasons we have been programmed, and now we have to undo all that. And this, it takes work, doesn't it?
It does. Painful, uncomfortable work, but,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
like, it's the same as waking up and, going to the gym or going on a run. It's uncomfortable, but
right,
what is the alternative? We only
right.
have one vessel to go through this life.
Mm,
How do you treat that body? It's the exact same way with emotions and awareness. It's, do you want to push things away and be comfortable and really suffer long-term pain in order to avoid short-term pain? Or
yeah.
do you want to embrace that short-term pain, but get so much bigger of a return on your investment? And it's going to become easier every time you practice it.
Right. Yeah. And that's an inspiring message too. So we know we can do this. It just takes work, but it's worth it. I mean, that's what else are we doing here? What else is there
Exactly.
to do? In my view, nothing else. So we're almost at the end. I do have a final question for you: how to sleep better and why it matters. So that's a very important topic too, because we see a lot of people deprived from sleep for the wrong reasons, just trying to get somewhere, right? To accumulate money and all that, and then
Yeah.
they're just hindering their own health, mental health, and physical health.
Yeah.
Would you like to make a comment, Mitch, on that, sleep deprivation?
Sure. Yes. It's something I struggled with for a few years myself. I It's funny you say about money because we
Yeah,
don't take that to our grave, right? So, with me being so obsessed in regards to financial freedom, and all I did really was remove myself farther from living life, like just enjoying the present moment as a human being, like living in the
yes,
future. I wasn't enjoying the present, and
right.
that made my sleep suffer terribly. Like there were nights where I'd only get 4 or 6 hours sleep, or for the longest time I couldn't fall asleep, and when I woke up I
Yeah,
felt terrible, and then I resorted to self-medicating, with drugs, although in my case relatively minor, nothing very strong, but still,
yeah.
you see that happening a lot. Like people take melatonin to go to sleep. They take coffee in the morning to wake up. They take Adderall to stay focused. That,
Wow,
we shouldn't have to do any of that.
right.
And I see that everywhere I look, everyone I talk to, can relate to these experiences where some stress in our lives is causing us not to sleep well. And sleep is so important. That's when your brain washes out all sorts of toxins that reduce your chances of Alzheimer's. It's when memory consolidation happens. It's
Mm,
when so many important processes happen. And it's really like, taking your computer somewhere to go work, but the battery's only half full, and then
yeah,
you're working in the middle of your work, the computer crashes because the battery's out. It's the same with your body. Like you're
right.
not going to be able to show up in the world and discharge that energy in a positive way if it's hampered in some way because you're not sleeping right. And now, it's even all sorts of physical ailments, heart disease, brain disease, artery disease, like, cancer, all sorts of disease are linked to bad sleep. And it's such an important thing to get right.
Yeah, that's another important practice within the realm of self-love. I
Yes.
know it doesn't seem like, it seems like basic, just human survival practice, but it is a self-love practice too,
Yes.
from my view.
Yeah.
So you have beautiful, interesting, insightful posts. So you write about loneliness, how to overcome loneliness, the difference between loneliness and solitude, also how technology and social media has caused loneliness. So you talk a lot about depression and anxiety. It's not just you just don't write about them in the sense of distinguishing differences, but you give also tools and insightful tools and wisdom from your own perspective, which I love. I love when you always bring your own experience as a teacher, as the guide for what you know to be true. That's really, I mean, that's really what matters, isn't it? Because now we know it's not a belief system.
Yeah.
We know the truth. So
Exactly.
I want to thank you again for your beautiful presence, for this commitment to find out who you are, explore your inner world, and do the work. I know it's not easy. And then also inspire other people to do the same. It's truly
Thank you.
beautiful, Mitch. Thank you.
Thank you. It means a lot to me.
And before we say goodbye for today, if there's, I usually ask this question, if there is one message you wish everyone who watches this video to take with them, what would that be?
It would be find find the peace so you can discover your authentic self, and don't be too worried about what other people say or think. If something feels right, if you know it's right, and you discover what is right through curiosity, through introspection, through asking questions, then express it in the world. And
Yeah.
in the future, you can never have regrets, because the only people, that have regrets, that are on their deathbed, when they have regrets, they will always say, I didn't do something, or I wasn't myself. They will never say, I regret this. Even though it's something I wanted to do, I regret it. Like if it feels right, you're not going to regret it. You will always learn from it, and it will always give you a more meaningful life. So challenge the status quo, challenge what other people think you should be. Just be you and find the
Mm,
right people that resonate with that and lean on them. And
mm.
don't let yourself don't treat yourself, don't have negative self-talk, don't treat yourself badly, and don't let other people treat you badly.
Yes. Right. That's another, I mean, that's what we need to learn fundamentally, that to trust ourselves. When hearing you speak, I mean, your message is all about that inner discovery, which is so empowering. But
Mhm.
then the result of that will be inner trust, which is
Yes.
essential for everything we do, we say, the way we treat ourselves, just trusting that everything that's coming from that place that we know to be true, which is that the peaceful place, it's fine even if we make mistakes. I
Yeah.
really, it's funny how a lot of times we are so self-conscious about making mistakes, but that's how we learn, isn't it? And that's okay to make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's not even, I don't want to put a condition, because a lot of times we say, oh, as long as we learn from them. But I
Mhm.
think as long as we observe them, it's just about paying
Yes.
attention, isn't it? A matter of attention. We
Yes.
don't have even to do anything.
Yes.
So before we say goodbye, where can we find more information about you, your work, your ebook? I know it's on your website, but also, do you host meetings in person? Those gatherings are in person, or online only, Mitch?
So the meetings I only do in person right now, but I will be doing those online. I'm actually developing a program around that, so those will be online. That may be
Yeah,
online already by the time this episode goes live.
yeah.
Um, the best way for people, if they're interested in more of my insights, is to go to my blog at thedebuglife.com, or go to Instagram. My handle there is the debug life as well. And I post anything there, from funny things my dogs do to my morning routine. Um, I have a very strict morning routine. I wake up at 6 a.m. I do all these interesting things to get my day started. And I just kind of show what I do and like how I live my life, through the blogs articles I write. So that would be the best way for people to get in touch with me.
Wonderful. I'll have the link, the website link, and the Instagram handle too. I'll have both of those informations under the video. Thank you
Awesome.
so much again, Mitch, for your presence, and we'll talk soon. Bye for
Thank
now.
you, Valeria.